Hello, ninjas and ninjettes, and welcome to another episode of the Exposure Ninja Digital Marketing Podcast. My name's Tim. I'm head ninja at Exposure Ninja, best-selling digital marketing author and host of the show. This show is all about helping you to generate more leads and sales through your website. And with that in mind, I'm very delighted to be welcoming today Loz from Exposure Ninja. Now, Loz is one of our Facebook ads team, and he's come onto the show again by popular demand to talk through a couple of campaigns. Now, very different styles of campaigns, and after the previous behind the scenes Facebook ad campaign episode, very popular, so we've decided to do another one. So one of the campaigns that he's going to be talking us through is a business that was running a Kickstarter, and they wanted to launch some money for a game that they were promoting. They had a target of £100,000 that they wanted to raise, and with some Facebook ads and with a lot of visibility and a lot of traction for the game, they managed to completely smash their target. Rather than 100K, they got up to 1.45 million raised through their Kickstarter. The second example is a very different type of business. So legal lead generation doesn't really get any more drier than this. And when they started the Facebook ads, cost per acquisition was around £300. And we managed to get that down to about £10. So about a 30th of what the original CPA was. So Loz just talks us through exactly what was done and what we did to get those results. So I hope you find it really useful. And don't forget, if you want some help with your own Facebook ads, then you can request a free marketing review from Exposure Ninja. We'll take a look at your website. We'll have a look at the digital marketing that you're doing and that your competitors are doing, and we'll map you out a strategy that you can follow to increase your lead volume at a good return on investment. So if you go over to exposureninja.com/review, you will find the link to do that. You just need to fill in a bit of information about your business, and then we'll get your review to you usually within 2 to 3 working days. Anyway, without further ado, enjoy the show. Welcome to the show, Loz.
Thanks for having me back, Tim.
So in this episode, we're going to go through another couple Facebook ads campaigns. We're going to go behind the scenes and hear about exactly what we did and what happened as a result. Who are we looking at first of all?
So we've got two Facebook ads clients. The first one is a company called Mantic Games, it's a board games company. And then the second one is called Dental Law, and they are solicitors that specialize in cases related to dentistry and that kind of thing.
Okay, so very different propositions and very different goals for the campaign. So let's look at Mantic Games first of all. Do you want to set the scene and tell us where were these guys at and what were they looking to do with Facebook ads?
Yeah, sure. So, Mantic Games make board games, and they, for their last few board games, they've been using Kickstarter, which if in case you're not familiar, is a crowdfunding platform where you kind of put in your money and then obviously they produce the product further down the line. So it's kind of like a pre-order system and crowdfunding and all that kind of stuff. And they've been using that to get their board games up and running for a while now. And then they came to us with a board game called Hellboy. And basically they wanted to promote that, and they really wanted help keeping that kind of momentum going throughout the whole month of the Kickstarter campaign. So what you tend to see with Kickstarter is you tend to see a really big spike in interest when the campaign first launches. Then you see a second spike of interest a couple days before the campaign finishes. And then that middle period, which, these are running for a month. So the majority of that campaign time, you see very little kind of interest. So what they wanted to do is they wanted help from Exposure Ninja to try and maintain that level of interest, to try and keep people engaged with the campaign and that kind of thing.
And just talking about headline numbers, so their target fundraising amount for the Kickstarter campaign was £100,000. Is that right?
Yeah, so that's kind of like the minimum goal needed to get the Kickstarter successfully funded. So anything above that technically is kind of a bonus. But from kind of speaking to them internally, I think they were hoping it was going to be a bit higher than that. Anyway, that's kind of their minimum goal. But yeah, it absolutely smashed it out of the water in terms of what we managed to achieve. It was, kind of crazy.
And how much did they end up receiving? So 100,000 was the goal. How much did they end up with?
I've not got the exact figure in front of me. I know it was, over a million.
1.45 million.
1.45 million. Yeah, crazy numbers. So 14 times what they initially were hoping to achieve. So
Yes, indeed. Okay, great. So let's look at exactly what happened in the Facebook ad campaign then. So how did we approach this? We knew that there was going to be a big spike at the start. Obviously, the game is about Hellboy, so there's going to be fans of Hellboy, fans of comics, and then fans of board games who could be potentially interested. How did we structure this, and what was the plan, say, within the first couple of weeks of getting this off the ground?
So I think you really hit on something that we decided was massively important in terms of the campaign, is that there's different audiences for this campaign. So there's different people that are going to be interested in this, and what we found is that actually they're interested in it for quite different reasons. So you've got people that are fans of the Hellboy comic, fans of Mike Mignola, who's the author of the comic. Then you got people that are board game fans, and actually the creator of this board game has got some pretty high profile games behind him as well. So people are actually fans of him as an individual as well. And then you've got fans of miniatures. So Mantic Games, the company, are well known within the miniatures community for producing some really high quality miniatures. And people will literally purchase will kickstart their board games based purely on the miniatures and how cool they look. So you can kind of see that with those three audiences that I mentioned there, you've got very different reasons for why you might be interested in this Kickstarter. So it's the same product, but totally different reasons why you're going to be interested in that. So because of that, what we did is we basically separated that out into those three categories: miniatures fans, board games fans, Hellboy fans. And then we kind of further broke that down into United Kingdom and United States audiences as well, because we wanted to include the kind of pricing information in there as well. So either in dollars or in pounds. So we broke those down into basically 6 different target audiences. And each target audience had a different ad set with different call to actions and different reasons why you'd be interested in this campaign. We're showing them really different things because we wanted to show them what was going to be most relevant to them. So I think that really was part of the reason why this campaign was so successful, was because we focused really heavily on making sure that whatever ad we were showing is highly relevant to that specific person, that specific audience.
So how do we measure success on something like this? Obviously, we're driving traffic to a Kickstarter page where, for whatever reason, Kickstarter won't put the pixel and give us conversion tracking info. So how do we know if something like this is actually doing well?
I mean, I guess our sort of main goal for this is going to be traffic. So we can see traffic numbers because obviously those are recorded in Facebook before obviously we get over to the Kickstarter website, which, as you mentioned, at which point we don't have the Facebook pixel installed, unfortunately. So we weren't able to kind of follow it after that. But we could definitely see traffic numbers and we can see cost per click. So those are kind of the main metrics which we were focused on. But then, we did also get some absolutely amazing results in terms of social engagement, so reactions and comments and shares and that kind of stuff as well. So that was really fantastic to see, and I think that the client certainly was very happy with the kind of results we're getting in terms of social media engagement. Did you want to go through some of the stats, or?
Yeah. I think let's go through some stats so people have a bit of a benchmark here.
Yeah. So we spent around about £1,100 in terms of ad spend for this campaign. And for that, we managed to get 9,951 link clicks. So that's just under 10,000 people that viewed our Kickstarter, for an ad spend of only £1,000. And when you think, obviously, the Kickstarter is that people are backing here is over $100. 10,000 people viewing that is really, really fantastic. what's really, really exciting for me in terms of this campaign was our click-through rate for this campaign was 2.94%. So click-through rate is, the total number of people that have viewed the ad divided by the number of people that are actually clicking on that. So what that means is, for every 100 people we're showing the ad to, we're getting just about 3 people actually clicking through and viewing that. And that's really, really amazing in terms of Facebook ads, especially when you consider, obviously, with Facebook ads, people are in quite a kind of passive state. If they're, just in browsing mode, they've just looking through, and obviously Facebook, they're looking at their friends' lunches and pictures of cats and all that kind of stuff, and then getting three out of 100 people from there to actually click on and look at a board game product, a Kickstarter campaign. Really, really fantastic. So yeah, I was massively happy with 3% click through rate.
Quite a lot of reaction and a lot of engagement as well. Obviously, that's going to help the visibility of the ad as more people are interacting. It's going to be more and more visible across Facebook.
Yeah, definitely. So we got 300 page likes for the Mantic Games Facebook page, but we also got across the ads that we ran, we got 2,598 reactions. So reactions, in case you're not aware, is the new name for Facebook likes. So it's not just likes now. Obviously, you can do the wow and the heart and all that kind of stuff. So 2,598 reactions, 235 comments, and 369 shares. So all of that engagement is, just amazing in terms of getting people seeing the ad, the kind of social proof as well, which we've talked about before. The idea of, obviously, if you've got friends that are sharing this, if you've got hundreds of people liking that ad, you're going to get much better results in terms of click through and all that kind of stuff, because people are seeing that and saying, hey, if everybody else thinks this is cool, then this must be cool. This must be something that I should have a look at. And obviously that kind of speaks to the creative that we got from Mantic, and to start the campaign with. Obviously, if we've got some really great imagery, if we've got some really great benefits for the Kickstarter, then we're going to get good reactions from that kind of stuff as well. So seeing that kind of reaction really helped us to know that this is something that the people we're showing this ad to are definitely interested in. So yeah, really great job.
So, top 2 takeaways from this campaign. What would you take away into the next campaign as a kind of success factor for this one?
In terms of success, I think really it's down to having a client that's got some amazing creative that we can work with. So that was super, super helpful. Meant that we're able to put together such a great campaign, and then also breaking down that target audience into separate groups. So just because somebody's in your target audience and is interested in purchasing a product, they're going to have different reasons why they're going to purchase that product. So, we want to make sure that whatever reason we're explaining to them is a reason that kind of audience is going to engage with. So yeah, trying to break that down into different sales messages and different audiences.
Awesome. Okay, so next example then, that was Kickstarter and very, very kind of B2B, B2C, and very sexy and fun and passion thing. This next one's quite different, isn't it? This is dental legal lead generation. So set the scene for us. What does the business do, and what were their goals for the Facebook ad campaign?
Yeah, like you say, couldn't be more different. So yeah, this is a dental solicitors firm. They came to us because their website originally was generating quite a good number of leads for them, and that was turning into clients. But then that pretty much dried up. So they needed to get a new method of generating leads for the business, for generating customers and clients. And we decided on Facebook ads for them. The primary sort of reason that we chose Facebook ads for dental law claims was basically because, we decided that this isn't really going to be the kind of product that people are actually searching for on Google or anything like that. There isn't really a lot of intent, because so many of the clients are actually not aware that they have a dental claim to start with. If somebody's not aware that they can actually make a dental claim, can actually get, thousands of pounds in compensation, then they're not going to be searching for that. That's not going to be something that they're actually looking for, which is why we needed to hit them, obviously, in that kind of browsing mode, saying, hey, have you had dental trouble? In which case you may be eligible for this. So yeah, that's what we did. We targeted people basically saying, if you've had any dental issues recently, you may not be aware that you have a claim. And then the second point in terms of Facebook ads was that we could focus on lead generation with a really kind of low barrier to entry. So we weren't, saying to people that, they had to purchase anything up front. This was literally just a free consultation to find out if you have a claim, which is a really low barrier to entry. So people didn't have much to lose by finding out. And again, that's a great reason why Facebook ads work quite so well, was because, if somebody's in browsing mode, but it's a low barrier to entry, then maybe that's something that we can get away with. And that worked really, really well. So, that's kind of the overview of the campaign. We started the campaign in September. August, basically, we put together a landing page for the client first. Then Facebook ads started running in September. In the first month, we got 1 lead. Then October, we got 8 leads. And then November, we got 24 leads. And then after that, we kind of stayed around that sort of level throughout the remainder of the campaign for the next sort of six months while the client was with us. Yeah, so it took a couple months to kind of get going, but once we did kind of find the types of people that were interested in this, and we found the right sorts of sales messages, then we were able to kind of maintain that sort of level. Yeah, so it took a few months to sort of find out. Like I say, we tried 5 different ad sets. So there's the 5 different target audiences that we tried initially when we launched in September, and then by November, basically we'd whittled that down to just 1 ad set that we were keeping running, and then obviously some retargeting ads to make the best usage out of any traffic that we've got.
So in cost per acquisition, month 1. Cost per acquisition, they had to spend £290 to get a lead.
Yeah.
The lowest we got it to was £10.33. So obviously that's a huge reduction in CPA. You're getting 29 times as many leads for the money. What were the main things that you did over that time to generate such a vast improvement in performance?
Yeah, so like I say, we had 5 ad sets. So this was trying different target audiences. So it was trying to find the right sort of person that's going to be receptive to this message. Like I said, obviously this is not people that are searching for this. So this isn't. So one of the kind of ideas that we tried initially that was just a complete non-starter was any interests around sort of dental claims or interests around dental issues or something like that. And really that doesn't suggest that somebody's looking for a solicitor to make a claim particularly. That more suggests that they're looking for a dentist maybe. So that was something that we did try initially that didn't work. What we found did work really, really well was people that had previously had an interest in dentistry or sort of or in that kind of area, but that was sort of a fair few months ago. And then we coupled that with people that had also expressed an interest in solicitors as well. So it was kind of making sure that we combine those 2 interests to get an audience of people that are actually interested in this as an overview. And then the other thing that we did that was quite successful for a while was using a lookalike audience, which was based around people who had liked the dental solicitors page. So lookalike audience is basically telling Facebook to find people that are similar to this audience of people that you give them. And so that way we were able to kind of get Facebook to do some of the heavy lifting for us in terms of figuring out what it is that these people have in common. So those are the kind of the 2 things that we ended up sort of fixating on, and that gave us good results. But really it was kind of a few months of testing that out to figure out, what was kind of the right sort of angle to go for. I mean, certainly, obviously, with hindsight, that first example of the idea that didn't work out sounds kind of, like maybe it wouldn't, maybe it sounds kind of obvious that it wouldn't work out. But certainly at the time, it seemed like that was going to be a good avenue for us to go down, but really just, didn't get any results from that at all. And then the second thing that we did, obviously, is that during that time, we were also testing out different ad creative. Here we had kind of a few different ideas around ad creative. So one of them obviously would be to focus on imagery of dentistry that's gone wrong or something like that, which, obviously is highly relevant to somebody that's got a dental solicitor case. Obviously, they've had some dentistry that's gone wrong themselves. To be honest, it just wasn't an image that people wanted to see in their Facebook feed. It's obviously a lot of those images are not particularly nice images. So yeah, it's relevant, but it's not something that, somebody goes, oh, I want to click on that. Some picture of like a manky tooth or something, or a wonky jawline or whatever it is. So that, again, sort of makes you can see the kind of logic that we're going down in terms of that, but that wasn't the right kind of angle to go for. This sort of imagery that we actually found worked really well was imagery around sort of justice and that kind of thing, and claiming what's yours. So one of the images we had, is the kind of classic imagery of the scales, the like blind justice with the scales. We had an image, a stock image based on that worked really, really well, because obviously, what people are looking for when they're looking for compensation is they're looking to get what they deserve. They're looking to get, they are owed this money because they've been wronged in some way. So that kind of messaging for customers was really, really strong. And it's a really engaging, a really emotive image that was really interesting to people. So you can kind of see the two ideas that we had, and again, with hindsight, you can see why one would work and why one wouldn't. But we sort of spent a few months testing out different imagery around those sorts of ideas to hit on something that worked really well.
So I want to ask you about ad copy, because if this is something where people don't necessarily know that they have a claim, it seems like we first need to do a bit of education to qualify them and indicate to them that actually this is something that they might have a case with.
Yep.
And then we need to motivate them to action. So how did you do this in the ad text?
The kind of text that we ended up going with that worked quite well was text around the idea of, have you had any dentistry gone wrong? You may be eligible for, X number of pounds in compensation, that kind of thing. So that's the sort of argument that we went for. In terms of the education sort of element to it, what actually ended up happening was we would get people who would comment on the ad saying, oh, I had this, but it was 2 years ago. I don't know whether or not, I could actually do anything. And then we had the client themselves, obviously, they're going to be much better place to do this than we would, replying to those messages and saying, well, actually, based on this law, you've got this number of days to make a claim, and all these different kinds of things that they were putting in comments to the ad. And then once people saw those comments were being posted there, then more and more people were willing to kind of pitch in with theirs and say, hey, well, I had this, does that count as a problem, and all this kind of stuff. So actually the educational piece happened more in the comments to the ad, and was something that was, arguably kind of organic social, a kind of strategy in terms of engaging with the clients and saying, hey, this is kind of what you should be doing, and this is what you should be thinking about. So that was kind of what ended up happening there. But obviously, people wouldn't have seen those comments and wouldn't have seen those comment threads if it wasn't for the fact that, we were showing these ads to people that we thought was relevant. But yes, certainly kind of a lot of that educational stuff came from the client directly in terms of organic social, I would say.
That's really interesting. So the comments, not only did they increase the visibility of the post, but also answered some of the major questions that people might have, and really objection handling as well, I suppose. So,
and like you say, it's worth pointing out that in terms of the way that Facebook's algorithm works, and in terms of visibility, even for paid content, comments and likes and shares and all that kind of stuff is really, really important. So the fact that people were engaging, with the business page itself, and were having these kind of comment threads, was really great in terms of the visibility for the ads, and then obviously had all that kind of knock-on effect that was just great for the campaign overall.
I know one of the things you focused on was landing pages and on optimization of that whole experience. What were some of the learnings that you had from that?
So something which we used for this campaign, which is a relatively new feature that Facebook's introduced, is that obviously originally kind of Facebook is a traffic platform, so we're being charged per link click and reporting on number of link clicks and traffic that's sent to the landing page. One option that Facebook's recently introduced is we can now optimize for landing page views rather than link clicks. So the difference between these, obviously, in theory, they should be the same number. If somebody clicks on the link, then they're loading that page and then they're viewing that page. But what actually happens is that you will have some people that will leave during that loading time, so won't actually see the page. And basically the discrepancy there can be quite big. So optimizing for landing page views rather than link clicks can actually have quite a good sort of improvement in terms of the results for your campaign. So for this campaign specifically, I assume this screenshot will probably be in the show notes. You can have a look through it yourself. But kind of the overall is link clicks. We got 301 link clicks in 1 month, and 257 of those resulted in landing page views. So what that means is, nearly 50 people, nearly 1/6 of the traffic that we're sending actually didn't get as far as loading the page for whatever reason. So, if this is people that got diverted or just clicked back or, that kind of stuff. If we were just paying for link clicks, then, we're going to be charged that 301 figure. But if we're telling Facebook, no, I'm only willing to pay for landing page views, then we're going to be charged that lower figure, 257. So yeah, that can be a good way of sort of saving 1/6 of your budget potentially. Yeah, if you get the same sorts of results that we did on this campaign.
I guess there's also an implication there of landing page loading times, right? So we were probably using lead pages, right?
That's right, yeah.
So, lead pages is pretty quick. I mean, it's not instant, nothing is, but it's pretty fast. And still, 1/6 of those people clicking on the link actually weren't even getting to the page. Have you got any ideas on why that might be?
Yeah, so like you say, it could be a number of reasons. I mean, it could be that the page load was too slow. Obviously, a lot more about the kind of website stuff than I do. Do you get kind of discrepancies in page load time? Sometimes it loads quick, sometimes it loads slowly. Is that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess the main challenge with Facebook ads is going to be the percentage of mobile visitors, isn't it? So It'd be really interesting to see the difference with those metrics between desktop and mobile, see if people are on slower data connections or they're viewing like a cached version of Facebook and actually their network has dropped out or whatever in the meantime. That sometimes happens.
Yeah, definitely. And then another thing is something which I've talked about before on the podcast. I've got a bit of a crusade against using the audience network as a Facebook ads placement. So the audience network is basically kind of Facebook putting Facebook ads in places other than Facebook, so third-party websites. They also do quite a lot with mobile apps. So if you get ads during, if you've downloaded a free game from the App Store or whatever, and then you've got ads that load, between each level, then a lot of time those are coming from the audience network. And what I've found is that the majority of the time when people are clicking on those, it's a misclick. They're just clicking next, trying to get through to click on the game. And then, they're clicking on the ad by accident. They're loading that page. And then obviously that counts as a link click. But then they're immediately going, oh, I didn't mean to do that. And then hitting back.
Yeah.
For me, I do wonder as well if, some of that comes from the audience network. Probably not for this one, because like I say, I always take the audience network out because the results from it are just terrible. But if you're keeping audience network as a placement, if you're using that, then I would definitely recommend checking the difference between landing page views and link clicks for your campaign, because I would imagine it's probably even higher than 1/6 then.
Awesome. So CPA down from £289 to £10.33. I think that's a pretty good job, mate.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it, certainly.
Cool. And I know there's also a Facebook ads platform change that's coming up or being rolled out, isn't there? Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, so this is live now. Just wanted to tell everybody about this, because this is, if you're running Facebook ads, then this is a massive, massive change that's going to pretty much revolutionize the way that you start a new campaign, to be honest. It's kind of hard to undersell this one. So basically what you can do now is you can go onto a competitor's Facebook page. You can go onto any business Facebook page, and on the left-hand side, you've got the tabs. You've got all the different options. So things like posts and events and photos and all that kind of stuff. On there'll be a new one, which is called Info and Ads. And if you click on that, then you can see all of the ads which that business is currently running on Facebook. You can see literally every ad. So yeah, this is massive in terms of the kind of the way in which you're going to set up a new campaign, because we can now finally do some proper competitor analysis. We can do some in-depth competitor analysis. We can say, hey, this is what is out there currently. This is what the kind of lay of the land is currently, and huge potential in terms of setting up a new campaign. Yeah, I mean, what do you think, Tim? Do you think that's going to be pretty big?
That's freaking massive, isn't it? I mean, I can't think of any other ad platform which will show you all of the ads that a particular business on that platform is running.
Yeah, it's kind of mad, really. I mean, it kind of makes sense that they're doing this. If you've kind of been following the news over the last sort of year, I suppose. Obviously, the kind of fake news stuff and the Russia collusion and all that kind of stuff, and the US election and all that. Obviously, Facebook have got some slack, some flack in the press for that. This is basically their way of combating that, is saying, well, yeah, if you can view all of the ads, you can see all the messages that businesses are trying to put out there. Have a look at it, and yeah, if you're not happy with it, then obviously now you can actually see it and you can do something about it. So yeah, it makes sense why Facebook are making this change. But in terms of marketing, obviously, this is huge for us as well. Obviously, huge for Facebook and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of digital marketing, this is absolutely massive. The idea that we can actually see everything that competitors are doing, some ways in which you might sort of use this. You can use this and say, hey, are my competitors advertising? You can see whether they are or are not, because Facebook will say to you, they're currently not running any ads. That is a pop-up that will show up if you check. And you can also see, what kind of messages and what kind of ad creative are they using. So if they've already done some of the optimization work that we talked about, in the previous two examples, if they've already done that and they've hit on, the kinds of messaging that work, the kind of imagery that works, if they've already done that work for you, and you can just say, hey, this is the sort of stuff that we should be doing, and then you start doing that, then yeah, you might be able to kind of skip that learning phase to a certain extent. I'm sure, obviously, it's not going to be you're not going to be able to completely just copy them, because you need to, obviously pull ahead at some point. But yeah, I think this is certainly going to help with that research phase and help, avoid some of that unknown at the beginning of a campaign.
And great if you're going up against a bigger, much more established competitor. If you're that established competitor and you've got a really killer Facebook funnel, then probably a bit annoying that now all your competitors can reverse engineer your ads, but they're probably doing it anyway.
Yeah, probably. I mean, the thing is, obviously, this isn't something that it's kind of interesting, because we've not had anything like this with Facebook ads before. Whereas I know, obviously, for the Exposure Ninja marketing reviews, this is something that we look at for other options, isn't it? Obviously, you'll go on the search results and you'll check out what's happening on Google AdWords and what the SERPs look like. Whereas we've just not had any options to do that with Facebook ads. Whereas now we've got that option to check, what your competitors are up to. Yeah, I mean, maybe we're going to end up making more work for you at some point in the future if you have to start including this. But it could be certainly an interesting tool for you guys anyway.
Lars, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything you want to add before we wrap up?
No, I think that's everything for today, Tim. Cheers for having me again.
Awesome. Thank you, Lars. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.